Okay, so something just caught my eye today. I saw a video by Melanie, by this channel, Melanie, Life with Melanie. And and I have to jump on here because it's frustrating me how we continue to get it wrong when it comes to men. If we continue to get it wrong, we cannot figure out how to fix the problem. Let me repeat that. If we cannot figure out what the issue is, we cannot come up with the appropriate solution. We cannot come up with an appropriate response, which is why what has been happening, all the gender violence are still happening because we don't understand what the deal with the men is. So let me repeat what the deal with the men is. They are not human. They are not your species. That is their deal. And because they're not your species, they're going to treat you like a lion would treat a white hawk, like a lion would treat a deer, right? Because they're not your species. They're not going to give a shit about the human condition. They're not going to care that you're supposed to eat. They're not gonna care about raising babies with you because that is not their baby. It was really supposed to be yours. They co-opted it. They co-opted it, which means that what? That's why they can walk away because it's not really their baby. Those are the things that you're seeing. Literally, everything that you're seeing in human society is because of that reason. So I actually need to take a pause and figure out if I am actually live because I'm still new to this streaming thing. So let's do some equipment check right here. Yeah, I don't think I'm live actually. Anyway, so the reason all these things are happening is because of this one fact. They're not human. So they are running things as though we are in the wide west, as opposed to in human society where you're going to have a modicum of protection from the wide west of nature, because nature is a wide west, right? That is why you have a species, your own kind. You produce more of your own kind, and that protects you because you get to survive together. And that surviving together, it affords you certain protections, not all protections, but it affords you certain protections to protect you from other creatures, nature itself. You understand? That's why we did, we build houses together. That is why we live together. That is why we share beds, right? That's why we cook together. That is why we do it takes a lot of things to have a life, right? To have a good life. And when you share all those things together, right, you are able to actually manage them as opposed to all of them on your own. That is what a species is supposed to do. But men are running it as though there is no more species, as though there is no more species, as though it is just the wide west, as though there is no more species protection. That is how men are running it. That is why all the murder are happening. That's why all the raping are happening. That is why all the abandoning children are happening. That is why all the killing are happening. When they don't even have to have sex with you and then kill you. They just kill you because they can. So until we understand this as the root cause, until we understand this as much as we understand the back of our hands, this is going to continue to be said. The root cause of it is because they are not human. This is the root cause of everything. This is the root cause of everything. This is how they're able to use religion. This is why Afghanistan wants women hidden under clothes. This is why when earthquakes happen in Afghanistan, they don't help the women. They don't see you as their species. And because they're not even human, they barely even help each other. Iran right now is going through a water crisis because they used up all the water. A human person needs water to survive. Therefore, they would not abuse the water to such an extent that people, there are now going to be there's severe drought in that country now. We would not abuse the water to that level because we would respect it. Because we would have a certain level of respect because we need it. So let's go to the video that I want to review, okay? The video that shows that you're still getting it wrong. And it is this one.
Became the most productive version of myself. Before, I used to scramble through meetings, half listening while frantically typing notes.
I have a question for the audience. So I matched with a guy and I asked him who he voted for, and he said Kamala. And I agreed to go on a date with him. And tonight we were on the date. And then he ended up telling me that he did not vote in this last election and he lied and he wanted to tell me in person. What do we think about that?
These conservative men are getting more and more desperate. A few months ago, I posted a video about this man who was advising other men to lie about them not being that political because they're conservative men and they want to date liberal women. And then there was a video about this woman who was going on a date with a man who said that he wasn't that into politics, but he showed up wearing a MAGA hat. Now you mean to tell me this man lied and said he voted for Kamala just for him to get on the date with you and say, you know what, he didn't vote at all. Why don't these conservative men want these conservative women? They don't want those women because they want a liberal woman to live out their conservative values. They want the career-driven, strong-minded, independent woman to give up all of her dreams, aspirations, career, and all of that. Start making them biscuits and raising their babies. I think a lot of them are hoping that you fall in love with them before you start having deep, meaningful conversations with them about politics, their thoughts, their beliefs, their morals. They don't want you to figure out what they really think, how they really feel, what they really believe until it's too late.
Okay, she's the first one to get it wrong. She contributed a lot, but she's getting this wrong, and she's going to continue to get it wrong until she realizes that this is not the root cause. This is not the root cause. Basically, what she's saying is that the idea of deception is the root cause of this, but that is not the root cause. The idea that they want to lie to get you, that's not the root cause. No, the root cause, again, is that they are not human. So all they can do is lie to get you. Everything about them is going to be a lie, right? So let's go to the next.
The only one expected to give anything up. And by the time you look up after years of birthing babies and taking care of him, you'll realize that you are a shell of who you used to be. And you are the only one who sacrificed anything. Good men want you both to live out your dreams, not just you helping him live out his. One of the
And she's right. She's right. It is that. It is what she said. The latter part of it is what she said. You will have looked up 20 years later and realized that you're the only one who ever sacrificed anything. But it's not because they deceived you. It's because they are not your species. Which means that in order for them to appear human, they have to be an infectious disease because that is the only organism that has the ability to do that. Infectious organisms want an attachment to another cell. Typically because they are, and I say cell because typically they are going to be microscopic. Typically they are going to be microscopic. So they want an attachment to another cell. They want to invade other cells to make more of themselves. And of course that eventually they don't really care what happens to the cell, but eventually it will kill the cell, right? Because now it's, again, the reason, actually, let's just skip all that, right? So that's what they're duplicating. Now somehow they got embodied into a human form, a human corporeal, right? But they're still exactly who they are. So they're trying to duplicate that, which is to find someone to attach to, right? And the reason they hate us, actually, the reason they hate us is because their microscopic form, okay, would have all the things that it needed to attach to a host cell. In the human form, we have a human barrier. So he cannot attach to us. They can't attach to us, and they don't have the stuff to attack to us. Because we have a skin barrier, which was designed precisely for that very thing, to protect you from the environment, so that organisms like them don't attach to us. This is the root cause of why they hate us. They cannot attach to us at will, because our form actually built a protection for that. And they cannot shake it because they are in that same form, which prevents them from having their tentacles out to be able to attach to us. This is why they hate us. They see a woman and they immediately want to attach to it, but they cannot. They have to go through all the rigmarole of being human. And they despise that. They despise that because they can see her and they know they want to attach to her. They want to just slam, attach to her, boom, attach to her. See her, boom, attached. That is what they want. But they cannot do that because they are in a human skin that prevents their tentacles from coming out. And you have a human skin that prevents their tentacles from reaching you, from reaching your insides, from reaching your more valuable asset on the inside. This is the root cause of why they hate us. Let's go to the next woman. Did I actually explain why she was right? Yes, because right. No, I did not. Because when she went, so they are looking to attach to you. They're looking to attach to you, right? So they have the ability. So they are basically duplicating that, and because they are a parasite organism, right? Only you were supposed to give up anything. Do you get that? That's exactly what she said right here. When you look up 20 years later and it's only you who have ever given up anything, that's exactly what that's supposed to do. You are supposed to be the whole cell who is supposed to die for the host, for the parasite to have gained something. This is exactly what parasitism is about. This is exactly what she's saying. But it is because, right, they are parasites, not human. The only reason they can behave like this is because they're parasites, not human. The reason they can behave like this is because they're parasites, not human. Because you have to be something. You have to be a kind. If you're not going to be human, you're going to have to be something else. And if you're not going to be human, then you should not appear in a human species as a human species unless you are a certain type of organism, which is the type that can manipulate other organisms' genes. Excuse me. That can manipulate other organisms' genes. That's the type of thing. All of these things are mutually inclusive, right? So they are able to do this because they're a parasite. They're able to do it because they're not human. They're able to do it because they're what? A microscopic organism that wants to attach to you. And 20 years later, you look up and you're like, "Ooh, I'm the only one who's ever given anything." And when you try to leave, they kill you. When you try to leave, they kill you. Because to them, you are supposed to die. To them, you are supposed to die for him. Because that's what he would have made you do in his true form. Because that's what he would have made you do in his true form. Look at how HIV works. It wants to use you completely to make itself. And what ends up happening is inevitably, once you ring that bell, what inevitably happens is that you die. This is exactly what they're replicating in the human species. This is exactly what they are replicating. So it's not because they're lying to you. It's because they are not human. That is the root cause of it. That is the root cause of everything. And you need to understand the difference. It's not because that they're lying to you. They're lying to you because they're not human. Do you understand? And you have to continue to repeat that, because that is the only way you're going to understand what the remedy needs to be. Do you understand? That is the only way you're ever going to understand what the remedy needs to be. Because what you don't need to be doing is procreating with not humans. Do you understand that? That is the only thing you will ever get what the remedy needs to be. Because there's no way, there's no reason. There's no reason why parasites need to be among us. So now you start to understand what the remedy needs to be. You need to start understanding they're not human. You need to understand that, so that you understand what the remedy needs to be. The remedy is not to stay away from them, because they're parasites, they're gonna find you, because they have the way of finding you, because that is what they were endowed with. Because they have those abilities, because they evolved those abilities in order to be able to find their targets. This is not a game. They have those abilities to find you. They have this ability to do all this crazy shit because they are not human. Because they're not human, they're parasite. Because they're not human who appear in human form, they have to be a parasite, because those are the only kinds of organisms who can manipulate genes to be able to have one that is not theirs. Do you understand? You need to start understanding it. You need to repeat that so you know what the remedy needs to be, because there's only one and only one remedy. There is one and only one remedy, and it is not to stay away from them. There is one and only one remedy. And until we understand what is causing all of this, we will continue to think that the solution is all the wrong things, that will never, ever, ever solve it. That will never, ever, ever solve it. Because what you don't do is try to coexist with HIV. You try to what? Eliminate that shit. Do you understand?
Expected to give anything up. And by the time you look up after years of birthing babies and taking care of him, you'll realize that you are a shell of who you used to be, and you are the only one who sacrificed anything. Good men want you both to live out your dreams, not just you helping him live out his.
Is because in their traditional like conservative values, like there's this hyper focus on being masculine, and some of what they equate to masculinity is subjugation. Imposing their will upon other people is how they basically deem themselves masculine, or leaning more towards the feminine side. So getting women that are easy for them to acquire, i.e. conservative women who have the same views and align on all these different political issues, they don't want that. They want the challenge of subjugating a free-minded liberal woman.
She's the second person to get it wrong. It is not because they want the challenge. It is because of the kind of organism that they are. They're not human. Therefore, for them to have human genes, you can only get human genes if you are an infectious organism, because infectious organisms have built their species on being able to manipulate other organisms' genes. So for you to not be human and have human genes, you have to be such an organism. And such an organism, what it does is, what? It can make you do what it wants. That is what they built their species on. It can make you do what it wants. So these men are not going after these women because they know they intentionally want to subjugate you, because it's simply that they know that they can. They know that they can. Let me give you. I know it's like potato, but this is very important so that you understand what the root cause of the problem is. So it is like this: you want meat, but there's only a salad. There's only salads around. All right. So what you want to do is what? You would go to there's only salads in a particular restaurant that you're in, right? Let's say salad. There's actually a restaurant like that just sells salads. I mean, they have meat too, but let's just say that there's only salad. This particular day, they only have salads and there's no meat. What you're gonna do is, right? What she's saying is that you're supposed to go and get into a restaurant that has meat. You're supposed to go and find another restaurant that has meat. But no. You have the ability to turn salad into meat. Why would you leave? Why would you go and find another restaurant that has meat? Because you have the ability. You would not even think about it. because you have the ability to turn salads into meat. You will not even think about what kind of food there is. You would just say, is there a something? Is there a something that I can use to turn it into what I want? That's exactly how their brain works. What she's saying is completely wrong, again, because she doesn't understand the root cause of it. And the reason she doesn't, the reason she's coming up with this is because she is still thinking that males are human. All this masculinity shit. There is no such thing as a masculinity. It's parasitism. Masculinity is 100% parasitism. Masculinity is 100% parasitism. But she is still thinking of it as though these males are really our species, which would make sense, because if they were our species, it would just be that something isn't wrong with them. It is not going to be like, what? Oh, hell no, something is really wrong with them. And you need to understand what the fuck is wrong with them. What she's saying is wrong because she is assuming they are human. They are not human. Because your own species is not supposed to prey on you. The reason you trust them as humans, but they do not trust us, is because they look like us. But we do not look like them. They look like us because they got our genes, but we don't have their genes. Do you understand? They have our genes. So when we see them, we see our species. We see ourselves. We see our form. We see our humanity. But them, when they look at us, they do not see any of that. They see their food. So conservative men are not going after liberal women because they want to change you. It's because they know they can change you. So therefore, whatever the hell you are doesn't matter. Because they know they have the ability to force you to change. So whatever the heck you are, liberal, conservative, high, low, fat, doesn't matter. Actually, it does matter that you're fat. They typically stay away from you when you're not. Again, because of what they are. Because of what they are. They have this they have this image of themselves of what their prey is supposed to look like. And under that formula, when you get the right prey, then they can make you what they want. You understand that? Because they have the ability to make you. They have the ability to force you. They have the ability to deceive you. So they're not like intentionally thinking, "Ooh, I want to get her. I want to get her so that I can make her do all the things that I want." No, they're going, I want to get her. It doesn't matter what she is, because to them, they see a husk of a person that they can malleate, that is malleable, because they have the ability to make you do what they want already. So they don't need to go looking for somebody that they don't need to go looking for conservative women, because they can make every woman conservative by brainwashing you. Do you understand? And they have that ability simply because they're not human.
And then co-opting her brain and then making them like second to them. Like that is more appealing to them than dating someone who already has their views. Like that.
And all of those things are happening, but the way their mind is working about how to approach this, that's what she's got wrong. All those things are happening, but what she got wrong is how their mind works. And it is important to understand how their mind works so that you understand what you are actually dealing with. So you can what? Come up with an appropriate response. Because staying away from them isn't going to work. 4B isn't going to work. Not dating isn't going to work. Your peace isn't going to work. We're actually going to have to do something. We are actually going to have to give ourselves an enema. We are actually going to have to take decisive action to heal our species from the plague that we are experiencing.
That's the main draw.
Caged bird theory examples, no explanation needed. Conservative men that chase liberal women. Polygamous men that chase monogamous women. Married men that chase single women. Non-committal men that chase women who want long-term relationships. Religious leaders that chase secular women. Secular men that chase religious women. Podcast bros that chase sexually liberated women like OF models. And my absolute favorite, brokies that date women who live luxurious lifestyles. It's all about control.
I mean, she got it wrong, but she got that right, but not in the way, again, not in the way that helps you, a woman who is going to be out in the world experiencing this, not in a way for you to instantly understand what the root cause of what you are experiencing is. She said it as though they're planning this grand Cajun experiment or something. That's not what happens. What's happening is they are, this salad theory, right? Because you have the magic to turn salad into meat, you're not going to even think about, oh, what should I eat today? Right? How can I get what I want today? How do I do this? How do I make sure I get meat and not salad? What restaurant do I need to go to that has meat but not salad? You would basically get yourself up and go to any restaurant and boom, you have meat. That would be the quickest way to get what you want, to go after anything. That's exactly what they're doing because they have the power to mold you, to brainwash you. And the reason they have that power, that is not a human power. And they don't have that power because it's some kind of a godless spirit. Okay? They don't have that power because there's some kind of godless spirit. Okay? Or spirituality or nonsense like they would love for you to believe. They have it because the organism that they are has built its survival on being able to manipulate other organisms. And inherent in that is the ability to, having sharpened the ability to do what they do. It's exactly how when you see lions hunting, right? When you see lions hunting, do you think they think, how do I catch this prey? How do I crawl so that he doesn't know that I'm there? How do I hide behind a bush? How do I how do I this, how do I that? No, they just do it because it is so innate to them that they can just do it without thinking. These women are this close, but it is also so far beyond what you need to understand. And the reason it is important for you to understand this is so that you can come up with the solution to fix this problem permanently. Because right now, I bet you think that because they are your species, that you can't get rid of them. I bet you think that, which means your only solution is to what? Separatism, is to Barbieism, is to not deism, right? No, once you understand that they are this way because of what they are not and what they are, it leaves you with only one option. That is why you must understand it. Everything that they do relates right back to that very thing. Their religion is back to that one thing. They are pretending to be religious is back to that one thing. Because have you ever heard men talk about how women have no spirituality and they are on a higher plane than men? And then you find out, well, with all that spirituality that you have, you still don't have no way of actually being a good person. And what you're doing is actually raping 6-month-olds. How the hell good could you be? Yeah, because that is a game that they use to oppress you so that they can get you attached to them as their host sound. Until you get that, everything they do relates right back to that origin. We cannot rest because of the type of organism that they are. They will never ever rest. Do you understand? Because they are so good at it. They can do it effortlessly. So that we are so outmanned right now. Women think that separatism is going to work because men will respect that. It is dependent on them respecting it. So that goes only so far till they decide, no, we're not going to respect it anymore. You must understand the root of the problem so that you can understand what the solution is. So that you can come up with a good solution that will actually work.
Gaza is at a tipping point.
The reason conservative men go after liberal women so much is because it is trophy hunting. They are wanting to put the bird in the bird cage.
Well, yes, this is a guy. This guy should know how men think. And this man, they blatantly lie to us all the time. Okay? They blatantly lie to us. This guy is lying. Until one day, he wakes up and he's like, oh my God, men are actually like this. Yeah, they were always like that. I don't know where in any history, any geography that makes you think men are not like this. But no, that's not what they're doing. They are hunting not for the specific purpose of bird caging. That eventually is what is going to happen. But their thought process is not bird caging, as they would like you to believe. They're simply hunting for an attachment because they're not human. A human is an autonomous human being. A human is an autonomous being. It doesn't need an attachment to anyone if it is an adult. The adult of them need attachment is yet another proof they are not what they say that they are. What do they say that they are? Human. They're not human.
And get on a podcast and say they're the ones that did it. Okay, conservative men can't.
So that would actually be the end of it. There's a lot more, but I think I actually got the gist of it. So here is what needs to happen, okay? Because I understand what is actually happening, okay? I understand what is happening with these metals. And I've realized that there's only one solution that we can have, and we need to come together for that solution. You keep thinking that because you keep thinking that they're human and therefore they are part of us, that you need to treat them with kindness and respect and bullshit. They are not human. Therefore, you don't owe them shit. You don't owe them a lick of respect. You don't owe them a lick of generosity. You don't owe them a lick of kindness. You don't owe them a lick of humanity. You don't owe them a lick of humanity. They need to get the fuck out of our race. They need to get the fuck out of our species. That is the only thing that is acceptable. That is the only solution that is acceptable. And if you want that reality, I want you to join me so that we can make it true, so that we can make it happen. Because it is not normal to live with parasites. It is not normal to live with the plague. And it doesn't matter where we go, they're going to follow us. They're never going to let us go. There is not a single iteration. There is not a single iteration that they're going to let us go. Because they need us. We are their food. That is what parasitism is. There's no iteration where they're going to let us go. And what you don't understand is because they have felt slighted by us for all these 5 decades, they are going to do to us what Afghanistan men are doing to Afghanistan women as we speak. That's what they're going to do because all the males are the same. All the males are the same. Unless you're saying Afghanistan men have a different kind of Y chromosome. All these men are the same shit. They are the same demon. They're the same evil. They're the same parasite. And once, even after trapping us, here's something else that you haven't thought about. They need us right now, and they cannot stop killing us. What do you think happens when they don't need us anymore? When their artificial womb is ready? When their artificial woman is ready? What do you think happens? Has anyone thought about this? What do you think happens if they cannot stop killing us when they need us? I just want you to sit with that question. I want you to sit with that question and ask it until you get an answer. Or you come to me for the answer. But don't ever stop asking that question. What will the men do to us once they no longer need us? I want you to join me. There is a form on my page for you to join the Utopia group that is going to bring about what we need for women to feel safe again. That is going to engage in the very thing that is going to cause actual and permanent peace in this world. If you want to be a part of that, go ahead and find that form. It's in the description. It's in the channel description. Go ahead and find that form and fill it out. Because unless we do something, we are going to suffer. The kind of suffering that you haven't experienced before. We are going to go through it.
They want to be the one